Alright, looks like we're live on Instagram, we're live on Facebook. What's going on, guys? Hope you're doing well. Just give me a minute, make sure everything's all good to go. Alright, cool. So, welcome. What's going on, Kevin? So I don't have my microphones with me today, so I hope the audio is clear. If the audio is clear, give me a thumbs up. Alright, I'm going to be looking at two different screens here. Took me a minute to set them both up. Facebook's new setup is a little confusing, alright? What's going on, guys? Welcome. Give me a thumbs up if the audio is clear. Cool. Alright, so today's going to be Ask Me Anything. And I'll be first going off of the questions that were sent in through email, Facebook, and Instagram. But if you have any questions at any point during this live, go ahead and comment them. I'm more likely to see them on Instagram than Facebook. I don't see a comment section on Facebook. But yeah, if you have any questions, just shoot them my way, and I'll get to them after the other ones. So, welcome, guys. I'm coming to you from Medellin, Colombia. Check it out. It's a beautiful sight out here. It's like a jungle in the city. I'll show you too, Facebook. Cool. Yeah, it's an amazing place here. I don't want to leave, really. But I'm about to meet up with the MovNat team, and we're heading up to the Zafra Natural Preserve, and we're going to be doing a team meeting and a retreat. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we're going to come back to Medellin for 2 days after to see some more of this beautiful city. Alright, so I hope you guys are doing well. Let's go ahead and jump right in. If you guys have any questions throughout, just let me know, and I'll get to them shortly. So we had a few different questions due to movement, nutrition, lifestyle. The first one was, what vegetables do you eat and feel aren't detrimental for you? What vegetables do you eat and feel aren't detrimental for you? So that's a great question, because recently I started exploring the carnivore, animal-based approach to eating, and it's been phenomenal. And so, but after I did it strictly, after I did the strict carnivore, to experiment with that, which is the best I've ever felt and all around, I started adding back in some plant foods to see which ones I could tolerate. You know, just sticking to the ones I like, you know, no longer eating the ones that I thought were healthy, you know, quote unquote. But now the vegetables I feel that aren't detrimental to me personally are going to be plantains, which is what I shared a picture of in the IG stories. I freaking love plantains, fried plantains. I chop them up, fry them in some good animal fat, and man, those are my favorite. If I were to eat no other vegetable, if I could only choose one vegetable, it would be fried plantains for sure. And I think a lot of people automatically assume fried foods are unhealthy, but it really depends on the fat that you fry it in, the oil or the fat that you cook it in. It's not so much that fried foods is inherently detrimental to your health. It's just that it depends on the type of fat you use. Animal fat's always the way to go. You know, butter, suet, which is the fat around organs. You got tallow from beef, rendered tallow. Sometimes you can get pork lard, but that's kind of a little harder to find good quality even nowadays. But yeah, anything animal fat, and then if you must use a vegetable fat, you want to stick to saturated fats. Saturated fats are the healthiest fats for you. The way it's broken down is, I heard someone, a biochemist, break it down like this. It's basically, imagine you had a train car, right? And there's a certain number of seats on that train car. Let's say 8 seats on that train car. Depending on how many seats are filled is depending on how many, let's say, robbers can come in to that train car, right? So if you have a filled 8 out of 8 seats train car, well, there's no space for the robber to come in and do damage, right, to the people in the train car. So in other words, the more filled the seats are, the more saturated it is. That's a saturated fat. So there's no room for oxidation or robber to come in and take the seats. And the more seats that are left open, the more oxidation or damage can happen. And so a saturated fat is full. A monounsaturated fat has one seat empty, and polyunsaturated fats, PUFAs, have multiple seats empty. And so PUFAs are going to be all your vegetable fats, your vegetable oils, your soy, corn, canola, all these things are PUFAs, highly open to oxidation, right? Highly open, and oxidation is what does damage to your insides, right? So avoid the PUFAs, especially, just avoid them 100% all out, avoid them. So when you're frying foods, stick to saturated fats. Coconut oil is mostly saturated, and almost all animal fats are mostly saturated. There's no 100% one way or the other, but animal fats and coconut oil are mostly saturated. So if you're gonna fry foods, stick to that. Anyways, that was a long rant. I went kind of derailed on vegetable and into frying and oils and fats, but plantains and then fleshy fruits. So just sweet and non-sweet fleshy fruits. So, you know, I got back into eating bananas. I didn't eat them for the longest time. Just some fruits I personally like. And non-sweet fruits, which would be like avocado. And so I think, you know, I just try to keep it to a real minimum. Even less than 80-20 meat to vegetables. And it's going to be personal. It's going to be on you. You know, you're going to have to do that experiment to see, because, you know, it's not going to be the same forever. So for the past couple months, I've just been experimenting. You know, eating mostly carnivore, animal-based, and then adding in the new vegetable that maybe I used to always eat before, but now I realize, since I haven't had it in my diet for a while, that it really messes up my gut. And like potatoes are a great example of that. Like I used to eat fried potatoes every day almost at one point in my life, and I realized that I would like get sleepy right after. You know, I'd like have to pass out right after breakfast, like a huge energy dip. And then I took them out for a long time, got into fried plantains, and then now when I experimented with just baked potato, digestion just ruined, right? So it's just gonna take some experimenting, removing it all, doing an elimination style diet. And I believe carnivore is the best elimination diet you can do. And then adding things back in one at a time to see what works for you personally. It takes a lot of testing, but generally avoid skins, seeds, avoid anything that doesn't want to be eaten. And I'll talk more about that because there's other similar questions on here. So the next question we'll go to is, how do you figure out how to eat? You know, there's so much on nutrition, they can't find out where to start. So yeah, that's another great question. Again, it's going to take a lot of self-experimentation. There are some general guidelines that I follow, and they are basically sticking to a whole foods, animal-based approach. After trying tons of different approaches, I found this one to be best for most people. And I was vegan at one point. I was vegetarian, pescatarian. I tried it all, and and before this, I was on the standard, American diet, just eating whatever. Didn't, when I was a kid, not even thinking about this stuff. And so obviously, when I transitioned from standard American diet to pescatarian to vegetarian to vegan, obviously I saw huge improvements. Most people do, going from a standard American diet to a vegan diet. Obviously you're going to see some improvements because you're switching up the quality, right? But what a lot of people might get stuck on for a little while is not realizing that just because that's better doesn't mean it's the best, right, for you. And so yeah, it just takes experimentation, you know. For me, it's definitely not veganism. I've seen too many things, too many people, you know. People get excited about it, they try it out. I mean, I got excited about it, you know, and now you see like just random, you know, celebrities endorsing it, people endorsing it, and then, you know, a couple months later, oh yeah, it didn't really work out. You know, it doesn't seem to work out long for anybody. I've never heard of anyone living that long with health on a vegetarian or vegan diet. Anyways, you know, you'll start to see problems with the teeth, or problems with the bones, people breaking bones easy, teeth getting rotted, you know, gut issues. I don't know if you ever smelled a vegan fart before, but it's not, you don't want to be hanging around vegans that are gassy. It's not pleasant, and it's a lot of fiber, really. You know, fiber has been touted as you know, almost as like a macronutrient, like or micronutrient, something you need. You know, it's like you gotta get that fiber here. Take a supplement for extra fiber because eating vegetables isn't enough. And then yeah, it's just another one of those things that is misconstrued. I like how I've seen someone break it down where, you know, we think of fiber as like this cleaning team, you know, a cleaning team going in your gut and, you know, sweeping the walls of your gut and cleaning house, you know. Whereas the better representation is like fiber, you know, a bowl of vegetables, a bowl of fiber is like a bowl of screws, you know. It's just you're taking in a bowl of screws and it's just wreaking damage on your gut. And I didn't realize that personally until I took the fiber out and realized, oh wow, my gut is a lot healthier without it, you know. So just ranting here, you know, just going on rants. But yeah, how do you figure out what to eat? You start with basic principles, you know. You follow some basic guidelines, test it out, and see how it works, you know. It's just having a coach who can help you, because, you know, the coach has probably been through everything you've been through before, because they're the ones experimenting and testing things out, and so they know, you know, exactly what's going to happen, what roadblocks you're probably going to, you know, walk into, drive into, whatever. And so yeah, lots of testing, but just as long as, you know, if there's three things, I think, no matter what you're eating, three things, no matter what way of eating you follow, three things you can follow that will dramatically change your health is: one, don't eat vegetable oils at all, 100% none, you know, no vegetable oils whatsoever. Two, minimize the sugars and the carbs. And three, just drew a blank, my bad. Yeah, so basically avoiding grains is the third one. So, you know, avoiding wheat and corn, soy, any kind of grains, any kind of grass, because so I'll go into a little bit of the carnivore approach here, and the idea is nothing wants to be eaten, right? People say, oh, animals don't want to be eaten. No, well, I don't know if you thought about this, but nothing wants to be eaten. But that's just how it is. That's just life. You know, life eats life. You know, whether we're eating oxygen or food or molecules or whatever, it's like nothing is created to destroy, right? It's just transformed from one thing to the other. So, with that being said, nothing wants to be eaten. Animals don't want to be eaten, but guess what? Animals can run. They have claws, teeth. They can fight back, or they have a shell. They have these physical defenses, right? Whereas plants, they don't want to be eaten either, but most of them don't have these physical defenses. You know, there might be some thorns, or like, you know, a Venus flytrap that, you know, bites down on flies. But what's up, Hillary? but they don't really have these physical defenses, so that their warfare, their defense is chemical warfare, you know. So when you're eating these things, they're releasing a whole host of chemical toxins to defend themselves, to ward off being eaten, you know. But we've come to disassociate with that and, you know, call kale and broccoli health foods and ignore all these signs of this chemical warfare going on inside our gut, you know. And, you know, there's a lot of them. There's oxalates, salicylates, you know, there's a whole list of them, depending on the type of food. It will depend on what type of chemical weapons they use to defend themselves. But yeah, so it's just the idea that plants aren't benign, you know. Some of them might have some health benefits if you microscopically look at this one, you know, process. But when you zoom out a bit, you see that it's not quite the case. You know, there's a little benefit here, but you zoom out and there's this whole host of, you know, attacks going on from these plants, right? So that's just one thing to think about. And again, it goes back to, for me personally, it's going to be a whole foods animal based, and then just you know, if you really particularly like certain plant foods, or fleshy fruits are of the plant kingdom the least toxic ones, because fruits are, you know, evolved to be eaten. You know, they're the things that want to be eaten. Plants don't want you to eat their seeds, you know, that's their babies. Plants don't want you to eat, you know, anything that is geared towards reproduction, you know, stems, roots, you know, skins, seeds, whatever. But they do want you to eat their fruits, because when you eat the fruits, you're helping them spread their seed, right? Just don't eat the seeds of any fruit, of course. So yeah, in reality, fruits are the one thing that want to be eaten. They're not with chemical defenses. Just avoid eating the seeds. You either, you know, spit the seed out so it grows away from the tree, or, you know, in nature, if you're living in nature, you're hunter-gatherer, you're going to poop that seed out, you know, a long ways away, to pass on the genes of that plant. And so you're really helping out the plant more than yourself in that case, you know. It's not necessarily that you need it, but it's if you are going to eat plants, fleshy fruits are the least toxic ones. Okay, I think that was enough on that question. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Give me a thumbs up if it's all good. I see another question in here I'll get to after the ones on the list first. Alright, so following along somewhat on the same lines of nutrition, more into lifestyle. Someone asked my thoughts on microdosing psilocybin. I love this question. I love that people are talking about this more. You know, for several years, it's been very, very taboo, but now it's like becoming, people are realizing, well, you know, maybe it's not so bad, you know. Psilocybin, for those who don't know, is an active ingredient in mushrooms and magic mushrooms. And, you know, I think the problem is people have labels and they box everything into one box and say it's all the same, you know. So they'll see psilocybin as a drug, and all drugs are the same, and drugs are bad, you know, regardless of what it is. But when it comes to drugs, it's like a very, very vague term, you know. Technically, everything is drugs. You're drugs, I'm drugs, you know, we're made up of drugs. Oxygen, H2O, water, nitrogen, you know, these are all drugs, right? Food is drugs. Everything is drugs, if you're talking about its chemistry, you know? But more specifically, people, okay, we're talking about drugs that people take to maybe get high, quote unquote. And then, yeah, you know, there are some substances, some chemicals, some molecules that are arranged in a certain way that have more beneficial effects and some that have more detrimental effects, you know. I don't think it's a good idea to just lump everything in one box. And it's funny, is, you know, there's a war on drugs, and people say all drugs are bad, but yet you walk down the street and you'll see a drugstore, you know, just because it comes from a pharmaceutical a guy in a white coat, then, oh, those drugs are okay though, because it comes from my doctor. Probably not, to be honest. But yeah, so anyways, on psilocybin specifically, these are in the category of psychoactive drugs, and I love microdosing psilocybin. It's a real game changer, you know. There's lots of studies going on with MAPS, and they're doing a lot of great research. They're like one of the only ones now doing legal research on psilocybin, and yeah, it's proven to connect your brain to, and mushrooms, a lot of mushrooms have been shown to do that, to make connections within your brain that were otherwise not there. And so it's technically rewiring your brain, healing, you know, reconnecting your brain, which can have a lot of benefits for your brain, you know. And yeah, me personally, I'll microdose, I'll macrodose once in a while, and it's a medicine, you know. It's just going to be thought of as a medicine. And one's medicines that come naturally from Earth, I trust way more than some guy in a lab making some concoctions to make a buck, you know. Yeah, so thoughts on microdosing with psilocybin? I recommend it. If you've never done any hallucinogenic drug before, starting with microdosing, it's a safer way to do it. But you know, really, if you ask my philosophy on tripping, quote unquote, there's no such thing as a bad trip. There might be uncomfortable experiences, but you know, when they've done research on people doing hallucinogenics, whether it's psilocybin or LSD, it's even the people who had a quote unquote bad trip at first, in hindsight, they were able to see that as a very beneficial, positive experience. So while, you know, if you don't have the right set or setting, or you know, whatever, you're going through an uncomfortable moment in these trips, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, that you come out of it, you're basically learning. You know, it's self-reflection intensified. You know, it's looking at yourself. A lot of times when people have bad trips, they're looking at themselves and seeing things they don't like about themselves. So it's really just a lot of self-reflection, you know. And we need that. We need to look at ourselves and see what we don't like about ourselves and work on those things, you know. It's just work. It's the deep work that people call, you know. There's a lot of different ways you can do it: journaling, self-reflection, meditation, you know, psilocybin, communication, dialogue. There's a lot of ways you can do the deep work and find out, you know, your inner demons and work on those and heal them. And yeah, psilocybin is a great way to do that, in my opinion. I'm curious to what your guys' thoughts are on psilocybin. Let me know if you enjoy microdosing, if you've never done it, if you enjoy macrodosing, if you think of it more of as a medicine, or if you think of it as like a fun thing to do. It's all of the above, really, but I'm curious to what you guys think about that. Leave a comment on the video. Alright, next question. How does movement play a role in masculine and feminine energies? Awesome. I love this, because this is kind of, you know, where I was coming from with the video I showed you yesterday, getting into expressing more, so helping men express more of their masculine energy, a healthy masculine energy. What's going on, guys? Welcome to all the new people that have joined. And so yeah, movement plays a huge role in masculine and feminine energy. Just in the way you move is determining on which energy you're expressing, right? If you're not familiar with what masculine and feminine energy is, it's basically, the masculine is the structure, you know, the feminine is the flow, you know, if I were to give it one word. And yeah, so the masculine, if you're moving in a masculine way, you're going to have structure, you're going to have rigidity, you're going to follow, you know, a system, you're having very formulaic movement, you know, you're just expressing that structure. And the feminine, a more feminine movement would be flow, just not, just flowing basically. So, the masculine would be the rhythm, the feminine would be the melody, So, learning about the masculine and feminine energy dance, because we all have both in us, we all express both to a certain degree. That's what kind of makes us, unique, is we have our own expression, right? So, learning about that and thinking about that within your movement practice can be a huge thing, It can change the way that you move. It can change the way that you this is much more than working out. This is movement. And learning to express both of those energies within your movement is a good practice. A lot of times, sometimes I'll go into the home gym and I'll just do a pure masculine, heavy ass deadlift for this amount of reps, this amount of weight. Progressing, trying to push the limit. And then sometimes I'm just like, well, I'm not feeling that today, so I'm just going to kind of flow, do a little movement, move and just listen to my body, more intuitive, that's more feminine energy, being intuitive with your movement. And they're both very useful, and learning to balance them and express them both is what makes life beautiful, Let me know if you have any more questions on that, or if you want me to dive deeper on anything I've talked about. All right, how long have you been a MovNat certified practitioner or trainer? And what would you advise someone who's ranked level 1, level 2 certifications? So I started training MovNat in early 2013. So that's going to be over 8 years ago. And I started just with the MovNat 6060 group on Facebook, and just watching YouTube videos, watching their movement demos, and just kind of flowing with that, and practicing at the beach, at home, and lifting, throwing logs, carrying rocks, climbing trees, crawling, sprinting on the sand. Just there's a lot of self-practice, and I did that for a good year or so, or more, and I ended up doing a hike with a friend one time, took some pictures, and I submitted it to the MovNat 6060 group. They were having like this competition, 60 minutes of MovNat for 60 days, and I took the pictures on our hike of all the MovNat we were doing, submitted it to the group, and ended up winning a free workshop. What's going on, Nate? I just talked about your question. Let me know if you want me to dive deeper, or you want to talk about any more nuance. Anyways, yeah, so I won the free workshop in the group, and instead of going to just a workshop, I took that credit and applied it to a certification. I was in Rhode Island at the time, and there was a certification happening in Houston, and so yeah, you missed it, but you can rewind, bro. And then let me know if you want to talk about anything else. So I was in Rhode Island, and this certification was happening in Houston, and so I had family in Dallas, and I packed up some bags, and I basically flew to Dallas, moved there, and then went down to Houston for this certification. I wanted to pursue MovNat. Once seeing, the Work Out the World for God and all that, it's like I knew like this is what I wanted to do for life. And so I wanted to become a trainer so I could do it and train other people, and just make a career out of it, and just do it for life. So I did that. I moved to Dallas, went down to Houston. It was funny because Rhode Island you can get from one side of the state to the other in an hour. I went down to Dallas thinking it would be pretty close to Houston, not really planning out the route yet, and realized it's like a 4-hour drive down to Houston. Didn't realize it was that far away, but anyways, got down there, did the level 1 at the end of 2014 with Vic Verdier, and it was just like an all-star, crew at that level 1. It was pretty awesome. We had Eric Brown, Vic Verdier teaching, Cameron Prado was his gym. We had Eric Brown there, Daniel Vitalis, Guy Ebel of France, so I later went to hang out with in France. And there's just so many, like, there's like a 30 or 40 people event. So many cool people I met there. And so that was level 1 in 2014. And just pursued that. And I got to level 2 in 2016 early, and then I also got the combatives in 2016. Super fun. And then 2017 I went for the level 3, and 2018 I think I did another combatives in 2017 and 2018, and then I did the aquatics in 2018, so I ended up getting all 5 certifications, getting the title of Master MovNat Trainer once you get all 5. And so it's been a good 7 years or so as a certified MovNat practitioner on the online coaching team now. So that's super fun. And now I'm about to go to Zafra today and meet up with the team and join my first team meeting and help out with the Reconnect retreat, which I'm really looking forward to. And so the second part is, what advice would you give to someone who's preparing for level 1 and level 2 certifications? Just practice, practice. Look at the manual, review all the movements, gives you all the testing movements, and just practice them. If you have any questions about the movements, or if you're having trouble figuring out how to do any of the movements, I recommend online coaching. I've had quite a few clients now sign up with me through online coaching, MovNat online coaching, and go on to pass their level 1s and level 2s. So that's a very effective way to have someone who's been there before help you, overcome whatever challenges you're having with your level 1 or level 2 certification movements. Yeah, and just review it, and reach out for help if you need it. And study the manual. Study the manual too. Learn all the philosophies and methodologies in the manual, and you'll be fine. If you have any specific problems, like any movements you can't do, reach out to an online coach. We'll help you out. And worst case scenario, you still show up at the certification, you do it. Maybe there's one movement you can't do, no worries. You have time to send in a video later. So it's not a super big deal. It's just go and enjoy the experience and have fun. And like when I went for my level 3, I didn't think I was gonna pass. I didn't quite have the muscle up down, which is one of the testing requirements, the power up. And I didn't think I was gonna do it, but when testing time came, I was able to pull it out of a hat, and end up passing this certification, which is, so I'm glad I went. It's not, even if you don't feel ready, I'd still go for it and enjoy the experience and learn and just continue practicing, keep growing. That's all I can say. Cool. All right, so that got all the questions there. Let's see if they got any more questions here. We got one on Instagram. How has COVID changed your movements and path? That's a good question, DJ Spark. What's going on, man? Haven't seen you in a while. And how has COVID changed? So it changed it quite a bit. I had a lot of things planned, had a lot of events planned, and unfortunately we had to cancel and reschedule them. Right before the lockdown started, I was doing a big cross-country road trip, living on the road, and I was planning on going from Texas area down south, west, up California, around just basically a big loop around the whole country. And I was reaching out to movement coaches around the country and scheduling workshops. And just like literally right before the first one, it was like the week before the first workshop in Northern California, that's when the lockdowns hit and we just had to cancel everything. So I ended up canceling that whole trip. Still made my way around and met with some people. We still did the 50-mile march, in San Francisco. That was a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to doing another one of those this year, regardless of the lockdown status. We're still going out there because we're gonna be outside, fresh air, sunshine. There's no worries. Anyways, so yeah, planning on doing that. Hopefully it all works out. Hopefully the schedule works. But I know my buddy Charlie Baystetter on Instagram is still making that happen in San Francisco. So if you're in that area or you want to do a 50-mile march, I recommend hitting him up, and I'll keep you guys updated whether or not I'm going to make it. Anyways, so yeah, it canceled all the road trip traveling workshops I had planned, and I also had to reschedule my retreat, my second retreat I was going to host in Costa Rica at the end of was it 2019? No, it was 2020. So yeah, it's 2020. So several months ago now. We were planning another retreat in Costa Rica, and I had to cancel that. And so we're rescheduling that. It's probably not going to be this year either. So that'll probably be in 2022, hopefully earlier in the year. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. But otherwise, not much change. I've just been doing more online coaching, less in-person stuff. And I'll leave links below if you guys are interested in learning more about that MovNat online coaching. But yeah, and now I'm just working on creating a new course because I see the negative downside COVID has had on a lot of people, and a lot of men in particular. Taking away people's freedom is taking away a man's freedom in particular is the worst thing you do. Going back to masculine and feminine energy, the masculine number one desire is freedom, the feminine number one desire is love. And again, we both have those in both men and women, but it's just kind of your essence kind of leans one way or the other generally. And some people are balanced. I'm kind of a more balanced person myself, so I'm just ranting. Anyways, yeah, that's how I changed my movement path. But yeah, just keep moving forward. That's my motto. I'm just keep moving forward. We're still making things happen. We're still, taking action. We're still moving. We're still, focusing on health and wellness. That's the number one priority. I'm not about band-aids. We're not about band-aids. The people in my community, we're about real transformational change. Band-aids can't fix a surgery. So anyways, I think that's all the questions I got. If you guys have any more questions, I'm gonna try to look on Facebook, see if anyone commented any questions here. We had someone, Stephanie, my Spanish friends swear by fried plantains. They eat them with most meals. Yes, I love your Spanish friends. I love fried plantains. I could literally eat that every day, all day. I like to think, I like to ask the question, what would my last meal be? Just think, it's just one of those questions that kind of it puts a limitation on what you can do, and that kind of forces creativity. It takes away the blank canvas effect. So if I had to ask myself what was my last meal, it's going to be a rare steak and some fried plantains, maybe an egg on top. I could eat that all the time, all day, every day, and some liver too. Just to stay on point, on top of health. All good, someone focus said I missed the beginning. No worries, you can always rewind back. I'm going to share this to my post, to my page, so you can always rewind back and watch it again. I'll make sure to save these videos and put them on all the channels that I have. Alright guys, I think that's it. If you guys have any last questions, let me know. So yeah, I briefly mentioned it at the in the video yesterday. I had the inspiration to work out, to help out and work on with some men to help them regain their confidence and capability and competence and strength in these times where we are feeling, with our freedoms being taken away, we're feeling maybe you know, overwhelmed or stressed or whatever. So again, like I said yesterday, I created, I'm in the process of creating a 10-week course with the 10 most foundational pillars to build a strong masculine essence. So if you guys are interested, shoot me an email, and I'm going to be going into more detail over that over the next few weeks. And the goal is to start on spring into action on the spring equinox. So if you're interested, shoot me an email. I'll be sending out info to my newsletter, so sign up there. And yeah, let's make it happen. Let's take action. Yeah, I did a lot of thinking, a lot of reflecting, a lot of journaling and meditating on this for the past week or so, and just coming up with the 10 most foundational pillars that we need as men to really, you know, reach and go beyond our prime. You know, whether you haven't reached your prime yet or you feel like you're beyond your prime, you know, there's always going past that. You know, you can always improve. So if you're interested in doing the work, let's do it. I'm visualizing I'm gonna have 12 men, and they're gonna come out on the other side, you know, feeling on top of the world. People are gonna be looking at them saying, "Man, I'll have what he's having," and you know, your family will be like, "Man, something's changed about you," and I like it, or better yet, I fucking love it, you know. So that's the goal, just improving with men, and because we need that, you know. I had a comment on the video yesterday saying, you know, how we need that strong masculine and strong feminine energy, the strong masculine and divine feminine, and we do. It's very important now more than ever. In modern times, we've become very disconnected from that. So it's time to reconnect, and it's time to step up and take action. All right, guys. So if you're interested, shoot me an email, DM me, whatever. Let's make it happen. Let's take action. See you guys. Cheers.